Kia ora, hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Philip Duncan. Well, what a busy weekend it was in New Zealand. We had exceptional rainfall totals, 733 millimetres recorded in just a couple of days high up in the mountains in the Southern Alps, but that's a lot of rain. We saw the slips, we saw the flooding, we saw the road closures and the wind damage as well. Now that system is moving away, we've got a much better week for drying things out, although there is a period of rain and wind around the middle of the week, which we'll get into. On today's animated wind map, we've put on here the jet stream. This is higher up than the usual winds that we show you, which are sea level or surface level. These ones are high up, 11 kilometres above sea level. Now, I wanted to show this to you because you might have heard the jet stream in the news over the last few days. It's been the driving force of the severe weather we've seen in both New Zealand and Australia, carving out a huge chunk here of the atmosphere and allowing all that rain and wind to be pushed in. So this really enhanced it. Up here in the bright sort of white pink shading, the wind speeds are 300 kilometres an hour. That means if you're flying from Auckland to Brisbane or the Gold Coast, you'll be slowing down as you fly into that, the headwinds, but on the way back, your flight would be sped up if we were flying. So yeah, we've certainly got that system up here at the moment, which is the reason why we got that rough weather at the weekend. The jet stream just added a little bit more fuel to what was already an interesting looking setup. Now, we've got some colder weather coming back. As the jet stream goes north, it's sort of the dividing line between the tropics and New Zealand. So when it's north of us, we usually have more temperate weather or colder weather. So you can see the below zero maps, which you can find, by the way, on the Weather Watch website. We're getting back into frost territory tonight. But in saying that it's colder, and we do have some snow on the way as well, I think we might have passed the peak of winter. We've actually got a news story up at the moment. It's just an opinion piece I've written, talking about whether or not we've passed the peak of winter, because we had that polar blast and the Antarctic blasts about a month ago, and now we're looking at more windy westerlies on the way, and that does tend to lift the temperatures up a little bit. And by the time you get to August, time is running out for that consistent run of big frosty weather like we just saw a few weeks ago at the start of this month. So it's just an opinion. But anyway, we've got colder weather coming back in this week with snow. But notice how it's in pockets. When it's in pockets like that, all broken up and patchy, that's a sign that it's falling on just the tops of the mountains. Because if it was lower down, it would all be connecting up. So we're just seeing it along the tops of the mountains. But even up here around the biggest of the mountains, we're still getting 75 centimetres of snow. That's quite a bit. Most of that's coming around the middle of this week, and there's a couple of snow flurries even getting into the North Island. In fact, Central Plateau could be getting another 10 centimetres, which is good news for the ski fields. So let's take a look. Oh, by the way, that snow map was from Tuesday to Friday, so it covers 3 days worth. So as we get into Tuesday, not a bad day. In fact, the breeze coming into the North Island is coming from north of New Zealand, so it won't be very cold. Further down, a couple of showers, nothing too major there, but we do have a few frosts around the South Island. By Wednesday, here comes the next rain and wind event. It is nothing like what we've just seen, but there is the potential for maybe a wind watch and a rain watch, which is sort of the precursor to a warning. So just keep an eye on Met Services watches and warnings. You can find them all live now on the Weather Watch website. So yeah, a bit of rain coming through. Those nor'wester winds will be pushing through as well. And another stormy system coming in for Perth. I don't normally track Perth's weather, but we've been monitoring a little bit more this year, and you've certainly had enough severe weather. It's been sort of one low after the other coming through, and there's the next one coming through on Wednesday. By Thursday, it's still a bit rough out over in Australia, pushing in towards Adelaide with warm, windy northerlies. But over in New Zealand, it's actually the cooler sou'westers that are coming back. It's not too bad though. You know, it's still fairly mild in the North Island, and by the end of the week, high pressure briefly comes in. That's another reason why I'm suggesting that maybe we've passed the peak part of winter, because as far as high pressure is concerned, there's not a lot of it sitting over the top of New Zealand for the next wee while. It's sort of briefly coming through, and it's those big highs after a cold southerly that bring us our best frosts or our biggest frosts. So when they're further to the north, that brings in more windy westerlies. And so we're not really seeing at this stage any major southerlies coming into New Zealand for the rest of July. Not to say we won't get one, but we're just not seeing it at the moment showing up in the computer models. In fact, as we go into this weekend, high pressure is over the top of us for a brief time, but then back come those windy northerlies, and for next week, those westerlies there building just south of Perth, they're likely to be reaching us. So we've got a lot of windier weather coming up, and that doesn't bode so well for frosts and black ice and things like that. So some of you will love this forecast, others of you may not, but that is the forecast that is coming up. And that is all from me. We'll see you again on Tuesday with our next update.